I went to print my talk this morning, and it disappeared.
Oops.
So what I did find was one of the poems I was gonna share with you today, so that is why I have my laptop here. So I'm just gonna speak to you directly from my heart. As Dina said, Spirit's driving the bus, which if we just relax and let Spirit drive the bus, most things would really fall into place quite easily. As Bill said, and thank you for inviting me to speak today. I really love being here, and just really honor what you're doing here. And thank you for having me be a part of it. Appreciate it. And for giving me flexibility in what I'm going to talk about. Since the last minute seems to be the way I do it. So this is just really, interestingly enough, a metaphor for how my life's been going recently for this to have happened. So what I'm finding on my personal path is that the more I let go, the more I let Spirit drive the bus, the more I surrender and get out of the way, I'm divinely guided to the right things. So my journey has been, I'm a registered nurse, as Bill said, and I did 20 years of pharmaceutical research. So I did everything from cardiology, hip and knee replacement, head injury, spinal cord injury, GI, GU, neurology, you name it, we did it. And so I worked for pharmaceutical companies. So on the company side, we were monitoring the drug trials to ensure the integrity of the data. So the package insert that you get when you take a drug, either, God bless you, over the counter or prescription, is based on the clinical trials that are done at the drug company. So we're ensuring the integrity of that research. Then I started a company when I was 26 to be on the site side of that, where I actually put patients in drug studies. So we enrolled patients in drug studies, and clinical research is not clinical medicine. So it's a very, very different animal, because in clinical research, you're watching, there's a protocol to follow. You could be doing 200 sites in the country or around the world, and you're wanting everybody to follow the same protocol so that you can analyze that data. So I was passionate about it and fell in love with it completely. It totally renewed nursing for me, because in clinical research, I got to spend time with these patients. And in getting to spend time with these patients, like literally an hour or two, if I'm putting them on a treadmill, I'm drawing their blood, I'm putting on a Holter monitor, I'm collecting information from them to try to evaluate what the drug is or is not doing. So I got to see the mind-body connection up close and personal. And the placebo effect is 40%. So even the FDA recognizes the mind-body connection, such that the FDA is. I'll be good. So it was a real gift, because I could, go back and beat myself up for working in big pharma, or beat other people up for working in big pharma, because I think if you do and that's your path or whatever, you could be part of the problem. What really started to bring the worlds together is when I started my business, I started studying metaphysics, divinity, alternative medicine, Ayurveda, and now I practice Ayurvedic medicine. And so people were like, well, how can you do drug research for a living and be a metaphysician? And I said, I don't know. That was right around the time we met. Actually, I studied religious science, and I think we met around 1998. And so gradually, as I was doing both, because I was passionate about both, the world started to come together, and I started to really understand that all of these things, Western medicine and Eastern medicine, don't have to exist opposite each other. They occur on the same healing spectrum and can be used integratively. And so when we talk about sacred activism and what our purpose is and what our dharma is, and we ask the questions before meditation, who am I? What do I want? What is my dharma or purpose here? I find in my practice that purpose, life purpose, dharma, that sense of what am I doing here, is by far the biggest problem that people are having. Mm-hmm. They're not in their dharma. They don't have this sense of, I get up in the morning and I am excited to make a difference. And what am I grateful for? So in practicing Ayurveda, Ayurvedic medicine Ayurvedic medicine's goal is about enlightenment. That's why I'm passionately in love with it. When I started the Kalyana Centers, I guess about now 5 years ago, I left the pharmaceutical industry permanently to jump into alternative medicine because I started to see corruption on both sides, on the site sides, on the pharma sides, and our work was very difficult. As Bill said, I had a cup of coffee in the morning and then ate dinner. I was on 6 airplanes a week for like 15 years. And my body suffered the effects of that. And then you get to see that that's not the way. We live in a treat the symptom, not the cause philosophy. Something's wrong, we take a pill. We have a little emotional challenge, we take a pill. We don't want to feel. We're not a society that is taught how to handle our emotions. We're not encouraged to express our emotions. And I can tell you, 99% of the people I see, the first cause is emotional. Whether it's anxiety, insomnia, depression, digestive disturbance, coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease is matters of the heart. End of subject. Because when I was witnessing that in these drug studies where I was putting patients into the drug studies, these patients would want to come into all of my studies. So they'd wait 30 days to be in the next study and wait 30 days to be in the next study once one was over. Why? Because the extra attention they got. I knew about their families, I knew about their lifestyles, I knew about their hurts and their pains and their forgiveness issues, and that there was no joy in their life, and mostly that they were not in their dharma, in their purpose, not knowing why they were there, why they're here, I should say. And then, with the extra attention that they would get in the drug studies, they would get better. And many times the pharma company would say, well, we did an interim analysis, get your patients off the drug, it's not efficacious. And we'd be like, what? Our patients are doing great. Well, the data doesn't say that. So the placebo effect is very, very powerful. The mind is very, very powerful. You're saying prayer works. Of course it works. When your focused and direct attention is on one thing and an outcome that you want to manifest. Yes, prayer works because you're connecting with that part of you that is eternal, that is divine, that is perfect exactly as it is. If I ask you the question, if I ask people the question, who are you? Usually they'll identify with their positions and possessions. I'm a CEO. I'm the founder of the Kalyana Center. I'm a nurse. I'm a husband. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a Phillies fan. I'm a Republican. That's not who you are. What happens when you're not the CEO anymore? What happens when you're not the president anymore? What happens when you get a divorce? What happens if you lose a child? So answering the question, first and foremost, as it relates to sacred activism, who am I? Meditation is the cornerstone of Ayurveda because by knowing ourselves, this is where the answers reside for all of us. All of the wisdom, all of the knowledge resides inside. No matter what a doctor tells you, no matter what a holistic practitioner tells you, no matter what I tell you, no matter what anybody tells you, you go inside for the answers. And when you can answer that question, who am I, and have it not be about anything external, then you're on to something. And what do you want? What do I want? You know, we have something in Sanskrit. We ask, what do I want? It's part of the laws of intention and desire. Within each intention is infinite organizing power. So when you say you want something and you put guided, focused attention on it, the universe has a way of orchestrating the details, provided you stay focused. We have 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are not productive. However, I didn't say they weren't creative. We're in creation mode 24/7. So those 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day go out into the universe says yes, and we wonder why we're confused. 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That's pretty amazing. But when you can quiet that internal chatter through meditation, through yoga, through listening to music, whatever way you do it. There's as many ways to meditate as there are people on the planet, and I'm a huge advocate of meditation. I meditate at least twice a day, and hours a week, as a vehicle to get to know that part of yourself that is not about the outside, that is about the inside. So within those intentions is infinite organizing power. When your thoughts, your words, your actions are in complete alignment, the universe has no choice but to conspire to bring you what you want or something better, and definitely for your highest good and highest learning. That's how we get our lessons. And I've been through some brutal lessons in the last 3 years, and thank God, because if I wasn't through those brutal lessons, it's only by experiences that take you down so far that you know who you actually are. And again, it has nothing to do with the outside. This is transient. This is going to go away. Our physical bodies are going to go away. What stays with you? So the deeper aspect of that intention is something called the Mahavakyas. The Mahavakyas in Sanskrit mean big ideas. So when I say to you, what do you want? I want to be in my dharma. I want to make a difference. Okay. I want a career that's fulfilling. I want a relationship that's fulfilling. Sankalpa is a deeper intention, a bigger idea. So what do I want? All those things I just mentioned. So when you want a career that's fulfilling, what's the deeper aspect? What's the sankalpa? We want to be of service. So what do you really want? When we say we want a fulfilling career or a fulfilling job, what about that goes even deeper, takes you deeper? What's the sankalpa? And as you start to meditate, as you start to know yourself and access that divinity within, you want the deeper stuff. It's not, the inner dialogue starts to change from what's in it for me to how can I serve? How can I serve myself and others? And so it's with deep humility that we need to approach activism. And what does make it sacred? What makes it sacred is that it's coming from our heart. Wanting a relationship, that's what I want. What's the deeper aspect? What's the sankalpa of relationship? Love. We want love. Okay. So it's with deep humility that we need to approach this. And also the second thing, because I can remember from my talk, in all sorts of directions, the second thing is to practice unknowing. All of these traditions, all of these beautiful traditions, have also served to keep us limited, with the exception of the shamanic ground. And the shamanic ground is exactly what we need to get back to nature. That's why I'm in love with Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is about living your life in harmony with nature, in harmony with your body, mind, heart, and spirit, the multidimensionality of who you are, in harmony with each other, in harmony with the earth, in harmony with the planet, with the cosmos. And so everything you put in your body, put on your body, do to and with your body, is for your enlightenment. When I was in India, in Coimbatore, doing a medical internship, we had to participate in these pujas at 6 o'clock in the morning for several hours, where the Hindu priests would be chanting and saying prayers, and there was a fire in the center. And the priests would be offering to the fire, they'd be offering sandalwood and turmeric and ghee and flowers and different things. And later in the afternoon, the doctors were teaching us that that's the digestive fire, the Agni, that's within us. And that when we eat, what we put in our body, do to and with our body, our relationships, we have to digest. We're making an offering to that sacred fire within us that is the sacred fire within all of us. That speaks to our unity and our divinity and to all that is. And so coming from that place of clarity, is how we participate in sacred activism. Who am I? What do I want? What is my dharma? What is my purpose? And asking God what your purpose is, or what are you going to do with me, ask your heart, what do you want to do? What's important to you? Our food? Animals? Children? Civil rights? Politics? We're not going to change our planet by waiting for the right leader to come along. We're going to change our planet by starting right here, right now, with where we are in this moment. Because when we stop individually buying foods made by Monsanto, just to give you an example, 69 companies are owned by Monsanto. 69. Now maybe the grocery stores and Wegmans and Whole Foods and all these companies, they're not going to stop supplying it until we stop demanding it. And when enough people stop buying it, then they're going to have to take notice. And that's where the changes are going to come from. That's sacred activism. Taking care of myself so that I'm healthy, preventative medicine, eating the right foods, drinking clean water, having right lifestyle, right practices, right relationships, because relationships are toxic too. And jobs, I assure you, when you are not in your dharma, is one of the most toxic things you can be doing. Most heart attacks occur 9 a.m. Monday morning. Why? Because of the Sunday night dread that people feel going to a job they hate on Monday morning. That's not sacred activism. That's just working for a paycheck. And it's not all our fault. We live in a culture, especially here in the Northeast, in a society where it's fast, fast, fast. Everybody wants everything now. We're multitasked to the hilt. Multitasking is on CVs, revered as a positive. We're insane. But the bottom line is that we have a choice. I don't do my life like that. And you don't have to do your life like that either. You have choice to take a breath, to not multitask, to ask yourself what is important to you. When I was headed in this direction of alternative medicine, I was still in pharma. And I made a lot of money in pharma, and I kept talking myself back into it. I'm like, well, you get to work at home, you make all this money, you get to travel, blah, 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 until you get to a point where I said, I wouldn't do this job for $500,000 a year. And then you decide what really becomes important to you. And now I can wake up every morning and be proud and happy with what I'm contributing to the world. And my sacred activism has to do with keeping healthy people healthy and helping those who have become unhealthy to find their way back onto the path of health and well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, multidimensionally. So getting back to nature is of utmost importance. Who am I? What do I really want? What's the deeper aspect? What do I really, really want? We all want to be of service. We all want to help. We live in a world where there's a lot of very ugly things going on, and we have the power to change it. And what one person can do does make a difference. And then when we put it all together, it'll make a bigger difference. So I'd like to actually end with the poem I found. So this is from a powerful holy text from the shamanic ground. So instead of listening more to me, you can listen to the voice of the first peoples, the voice of the first ones, the voice of our dawn speaking despite great odds, to awaken us to the foundation from which sacred activism can originate. This is a Chinook blessing. So you can close your eyes and just take this in, because we can ask nature for the answers, and nature always, always responds. We call upon the earth, our planet home with its beautiful depths and soaring heights, its vitality and abundance of life, and together we ask that it teach us and show us the way. We call upon the mountains, the Cascades and the Olympics, the high green valleys and meadows filled with wildflowers, the snows that never melt, the summits of intense silence, and we ask that they teach us and show us the way. We call upon the waters that rim the earth, horizon to horizon, that flow into our rivers and streams, that fall upon our gardens and fields, and we ask that they teach us and show us the way. We call upon the land which grows our food, the nurturing soil, the fertile fields, the abundant gardens and orchards, and we ask that they teach us and show us the way. We call upon the forests, the great trees reaching strongly to the sky with earth in their roots and the heavens in their branches, the fir and the pine and the cedar, and we ask them to teach us and show us the way. We call upon the creatures of the fields and forests and the seas, our brothers and sisters, the wolves and the deer, the eagle and the dove, the great whales and dolphin, the beautiful orca and salmon who share our northwest home, and we ask them to teach us and show us the way. We call upon all those who have lived on this earth, our ancestors and our friends who dreamed the best for future generations and upon whose lives our lives are built. And with thanksgiving, we call upon them to teach us and show us the way. And lastly, we call upon all we hold most sacred, the presence and the power of the great spirit of love and truth which flows through all the universe to be with us, to teach us, and show us the way. And so it's with this humility that we can and we will be able to take urgent, deliberate, and passionate sacred action. Thank you.
Yes.